All right, what we're diving into today is pretty exclusive. This is the Kavhanna dossier, and the whole premise is that a private entity, Kavhanna, has finished the heavy lifting, the research and development on a technology they believe changes, well, everything. The research is done, and now, they say, the invitation is open. So let's see what's inside.
Right. So this has been years in the making, taking an idea from the drawing board all the way to proven physical hardware.
So after what they call an exhaustive analysis, the foundational conclusion is pretty clear. They're confirming the technology has substantial, unique features. You know, it satisfies all the key criteria: novelty, inventive activity, and industrial application. In other words, it's not just an idea. It's certifiably new and ready for the real world.
And what that means is, the what-if stage is over. The lab coats are hung up, the theories have been tested, and the data they claim is now final. The dossier is closed.
Which leads us to this. This isn't just to look back at what they've done. Kavhanna is framing this moment as the beginning of something entirely different. It's an open invitation to build what comes next.
So, Section 1. A foundation. Validated. Let's get right to the proof. According to them, everything we're about to see is built on hard, tested, empirical data.
And here's the absolute core of their claim. The functional prototype works. They call it atmospheric thermal conversion. Now that's just a fancy way of saying it generates energy from the ambient temperature of the air. And the key takeaway here is that this concept is now physically proven.
Okay, let's get into the numbers, because this is where it really gets interesting. A capacity factor of 87%? Do you know what that means? It runs almost constantly. That's a world away from intermittent sources like solar or wind. Then look at the carbon footprint. It's right down there with nuclear power. And this one, MTBF, mean time between failures is over 2,200 hours. That's just an incredibly high level of reliability right from day one.
So the message from this first section is really straightforward. The technology has been verified in the real world, the numbers are validated, and it's operationally stable. But, you know, a piece of tech is one thing. The real question is, what can you actually do with it? And that brings us to Section 2, the emergent paradigm. This is where Kavhanna starts to make a much bigger argument. That this isn't just about a new power source. It's a whole new organizing principle, a new rule book for how we can build our world.
So the technology is proven, right? But what does it unlock? What kind of future does this foundation actually make possible? This slide just lays it out so clearly. They're proposing a fundamental shift. You go from intermittent power to continuous, from massive centralized grids to distributed networks. And this is huge. You go from being dependent on resources in specific places to being completely independent of geography. They argue this isn't just an upgrade, it's a total rewrite of the global energy system.
Okay, Section 3, domains of application. So if that's the new paradigm, where does it get applied? Where does the rubber meet the road? Well, the dossier lays out some pretty critical sectors.
And the list of potential uses here is, well, it's incredibly ambitious. We're talking about everything from actually engineering the climate in our cities to creating true energy sovereignty for aerospace and defense, all the way to enabling operations in the most remote places on Earth and, yeah, even off-world.
So let's just zoom in on one of those for a second. Urban climate. The dossier makes a really startlingly specific claim, and it's represented by this one single number. 3 degrees Celsius. That's the potential reduction in a city's heat island effect. But what's fascinating is how. The system literally generates electricity by pulling that excess heat out of the environment. It's an incredible 2-for-1. You solve a climate problem and an energy problem at the exact same time.
Now for Section 4, the IP moat. Because let's be honest, a technology this disruptive would be copied in a second without a seriously powerful defense. So let's look at the intellectual property they've built around it.
$250 million. Now that's not some future projection. That's a comparative valuation of the IP portfolio itself, right now, based on similar high-stakes deals in the energy sector. It establishes a huge, tangible asset value right from the start.
And that value is protected by what they're calling a strategic patent fortress. It's not just one patent, it's a global web.
By locking down the US, Europe, China, Japan, and South Korea, the IP is basically shielded across all the world's most critical hubs for innovation and manufacturing. And the plan to actually roll this out is just as structured. It's not about just selling a box. It's a phased approach designed for deep partnership. It starts with basic training and know-how, moves into co-development, then to regional joint ventures, and for the right partners, culminates in a full technology transfer.
And that brings us to the final section, really the entire point of this dossier. This is where the whole conversation pivots from what the technology is to who it's for. And it's not about a simple transaction.
To be absolutely clear here, Kavhanna states they are not seeking investors. They claim the capital is handled, the technology is secured. This is not about raising funds.
So what is it? It's positioned as an invitation to partner in architecting the next global energy and industrial platform. It's an offer of strategic parity, a seat at the table for a very select few entities with the global scale and, frankly, the vision to help execute this. And this is the journey they're proposing. The roadmap is, well, it's aggressive. You go from pilot projects to full commercial scale inside of 4 years. Mass production by year 6, and a target of 2 gigawatts of annual production capacity, aiming for market dominance within a decade. This is the path they're inviting partners to walk with them.
And so we end right where we started, but with a new perspective. According to this dossier, the research is done, the tech is validated, the blueprint for this next paradigm is complete. The only real question that Kavhanna leaves hanging in the air is, who will step up to co-create it?